Welcome to the Battlefield Show. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sammy Boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Ready to talk some more Battlefield today, and this is a topic that we've had in the back burner for a little bit, and it's about the specialist changes. So let's hop right in. As a follow-up to last episode, I do want to have a little bit of a discussion on Orbital. I've had more time to play on it and have been enjoying it, and just want to kind of get your thoughts as well. How's it going for you?
Well, it's a funny story because I have played like more of Orbital, but it's still not in its own playlist. So I've honestly played, like I've been actively trying to, and I've probably played it like 3 times. It's, I can already tell, like, even without a proper, I still would say I haven't had, like, a proper amount of playtime, because, say, when Stranded launched, like, I played
we
that,
got to
like,
play
every
that so
day,
much.
yeah, for, like, a couple weeks, so I haven't had that much, but I can already tell, like, it's definitely a lot better than it was. I already thought it was decent enough, but it's definitely improved. I think that middle section as well, I've noticed that the D flag is like really fun because it's on the very top of a hill. It's almost like everyone's just rushing up this hill to fight each other. It's actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the Iwo Jima map in Battlefield 5. Like everyone's just kind of sprinting up this hill trying to kind of take control of the hill. So that area is really
Kate
fun.
Bush.
Which, to be fair, that part of the map was like non-existent before. So it's like almost a brand new part of the map. And then as for the other, like the bottom section near the big tower and all that, that was already good, I thought. But it's definitely even better than it was. So yeah, I'm very happy with the map. It's maybe not quite on the level of like Exposure and Stranded, but I do think it's, if they're, let's just say they're a 10 out of 10, this is like a 9 out of 10 compared to that, I think.
Yeah, I still, every time I hop into Orbital, I forget about that D point, and then I'll see someone on Twitter be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" I'm like, what? How did I miss this again? Dang it! I've been seeing a lot of gameplay and stuff from that section. It looks super fun. Looks a lot more of like the close quarters combat that I really like, and it just seems like a really fun time. But I got to play a few more rounds of it and enjoyed it a lot. I still, like you, struggle to get into consistent games of it. Like, it'll be like, I'll play one, and then I'll play... I did get back-to-backs one time where I played twice in a row, then
I'm jealous.
It stopped for a long time. It took me so long to get back into one. And I don't understand why it is, because that rotation has 3 maps, right? It's Kaleidoscope, it's Stranded, and it's Orbital.
Yeah,
there are 3 maps to play, and you can only get freaking Kaleidoscope every time.
So last weekend I streamed, and we were trying to do some like challenges on the stream, and I remember saying like, "Oh, I'll do the challenge when I get to Orbital because it'll be fun to do it on that map." And I genuinely didn't for the rest of the stream. I streamed another like hour and a half, and I did not get Orbital once, and I was just in that playlist the whole time. Because it was like, it's because it's not like a...
It's not a real
it
rotation.
You back to so technically, yes, it is in a server pool, I guess you would say, where you can get one of those 3 maps, but technically you could get the same map every single game for the rest of your life.
Because it resets your odds every time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so dumb. Like, I don't know why they don't... This is why... the whole complaint about like just put a server browser or put at least persistent servers so that I don't get kicked back to the menu every time. That really is starting to like, I don't know, before all of the maps and stuff have been coming out, I didn't really care that much. It was like, whatever, because I'm also used to it with Warzone, so it's like I just kind of have become accustomed to that. But I think because they haven't put an Orbital 24/7 playlist, it's really shown me like, oh man, that actually is so poorly designed. Like, I didn't actually realize how bad it was until now.
In some aspects, I think we're going back in time for a lot of gaming. Like, it seems like the people that found out the best ways to play multiplayer shooters, like retired or something and didn't tell
Yeah.
anyone why those games were so good. And people are trying to figure that out again.
That's actually a really good point. I actually had never considered that you are spot on, that a lot of the people who are, responsible for, say, like the good Call of Duty games and like Battlefield 3 and 4, they don't work in the industry anymore. They're probably all like late 50s and stuff now, because in those times they were in their like late 30s and 40s and stuff, which is, I would say, that's probably like the prime of your dev career, because you're smart and you're like wise enough, but you're not too old to where you're like out of touch with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are probably, they got to their 50s and they went, I kind of want a change of scenery. Like we've seen a lot of people, for example, just
I kind of don't want to work 100 hours a week anymore.
Yeah. So, and I mean, to be honest, because they work so much, they also probably could, a lot of them probably have actually genuinely retired at like 50, because they probably made that much money working 100-hour weeks for like 20 years. They're probably all loaded. So actually, that's even
unless
better
you're
point.
in a company that doesn't pay overtime, which a lot of them don't.
That's true. So that's a really good point, though. That like, I do think there's a lot of stuff that I sometimes think, oh, maybe they're changing it for a specific reason. The whole thing of like back to the menus. A lot of people say that's because like Call of Duty, they want the more time you're in the menu, the more time you're likely to buy skins. Like, and it makes sense, but also,
I don't think that's a good point, though. I don't think that's the reason that they're doing it. It has to be something more than that, right? To have this huge change where this isn't how the entirety of the 20 years of Battlefield has done it.
Yeah, what I think a lot of it is that they pay so much attention to like all those analytics and the data that, for example, with a Battle Royale, if we look at Warzone, that just does send you back to the menu, because that's how it works. You lose the game, you have to go back to search for another game. And I think that when like all of these battle royales like Fortnite and all that started, having that situation where you're back in the menu after every game, those games also sold, especially because they're free, they probably sold that many more skins than previous games. And I feel like a lot of these companies, the higher ups, see that, and they don't actually know anything about the game. They just see the analytics of, more people are spending more time in the menus because of the way the game works, and they're buying more skins, so they must be correlated together. Mm-hmm. When in reality, it's just because Fortnite is free and it has really good skins, and they go back to the menu because when you die, you go back to the menu. So it's not actually why people are buying more skins. It just happens to be that they sold a lot of skins and they spent more time in the menus. That's not why that happened. And so I think like, I just think a lot of those, because they are all businessmen, they're not game developers, and they see a trend, and that's a lot of what business is you see a trend and it's in your favor, so you kind of buy into that. And I just think a lot of them are going, oh, well, that's why they are making more money, so we have to do that with our game. When in reality, like for me, if I want to buy a skin, I'll buy the skin. I don't care if I'm in the menus for 10 hours or 1 minute. Like, it doesn't change anything for me. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the most random tangent of all time.
I can't remember, but does Fortnite kick you back to the menu every time?
Yeah, essentially. Well, I think so. I've never really played that much Fortnite, but I'm pretty sure with like,
I think it may be a battle royale-ism.
Yeah, it's just because like it's not even like by design. It's just essentially it can't like automatically restart you in another game, because maybe because the games go for so long, like people will go to the toilet and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just like when you die, you reset. You just go back to the menu, and then it's up to you to search for a game. So I think like. Yeah, I have played Fortnite, but not enough that I can remember. It was like 4 years ago, really. But
Apex,
I'm pretty sure, like I know
too.
Apex,
and
then like a PUBG and all, like they're kind of all like that, really. So, for example, I think maybe like that happened with Blackout and then Warzone, and then Call of Duty just adopted that into their multiplayer because they're like, oh, this is making us more money, and then. Now it's just part of their multiplayer, because the multiplayer is the same. You get kicked to the menu every time. And so then Battlefield probably sees that and they go, oh, let's do that as well. So now every game does it. And it's like do you guys understand that is not why people are buying skins? People
Uh-huh.
buy skins to use them. They don't buy skins to sit in the menu. So stop kicking us back to the menu. If I want to buy a skin, I'm not more likely. In fact, I'm the complete opposite. The more that I get kicked back to the menu, the more likely I am to just be like, oh, well, that game's done. I'm in the menus. I'm just going to get off now. Like,
Yeah,
I'm more likely to quit because the game's done.
that's
If it
my
automatically
thing.
loads the next game, I might be thinking, oh, I probably should get off. And then the game starts. I'm like, one more.
Yeah, I
We'll
can
play
get one more game in.
Yeah.
But I have to go through the menu and then start another search again. Like, I can tell you this because I was recording some videos, and I was like, I think I have enough. And then I just went back to the menu. It's like, okay, I have enough now.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, I don't think
I
they
understand it from like a
think
battle
about it that
royale
way.
perspective because that's kind of how it
Yeah.
works. They could, if they wanted to, have it just rotate through because it's one map.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to worry about like anything like that. And maybe that's why they have it is like they don't go through like a rotation of maps. But like Battlefield has what, like 8 maps, 9 maps, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And every other Battlefield, and I don't think this is like old man yells at cloud or anything like this, but like I think every other Battlefield has done it that way because it's the best way to do it. They shouldn't be putting a battle royale mechanic into a first person shooter that does not have a battle royale mechanic.
That's the thing. It's like that is what user experience is. It's trying to make the experience as simple and enjoyable for the user as possible, because the more they enjoy your thing, the more they're gonna buy the next one, or they're gonna buy skins or whatever. And the easiest way is that once you have searched for a game, you're just in that lobby, and you just get to play continuously unless you want to quit, and then you can still. It's not like you can't go to the menu. You can still back out if you want to.
Yeah.
But for those who don't want to, it's just both options in one. Whereas now it's like everyone's just forced to go back to the menu, and it's just so frustrating because especially like on Aussie servers, man, sometimes I'll get, like, for example, on that stream, I was trying to get orbital and I couldn't, so I get kicked back to the menu, and I'm just thinking, okay, well, awesome, that's just reset where I was up to. Like, I knew the next map in the rotation was orbital, but now I'm searching for a game. I can't find one because there's not enough people online right now. I ended up sitting there at the end of the stream for nearly 30 minutes just talking to the chat.
Oh my gosh.
Waiting for a game. So it's like, because you've kicked me to the menu, as well as all 128 people in that lobby, I guarantee half those people couldn't find another game. We were trying. I want to play your game, but I actually couldn't. Like, I physically could not play the game because I couldn't find a lobby. Like, it's just so dumb.
It's frustrating to say the least. But hey, the new orbital changes are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know how I ended up. We talked about freaking skins and then that. I don't know. I'm in a rant mood this morning, boss.
Well, time for some more rants because we got some more core feedback on specialists and their next steps. And I think this is again one of those weird diceisms where like there's still, it's good to have this kind of feedback, but it isn't as consistent or as like, I don't know, like as quick as we would have liked, honestly. I mean, yeah, they have to get all of those. They have to search on Reddit. They have to search on Twitter. They have to search on YouTube. They have to do all these things to gather this feedback. But it's still like one of those things where it's like, okay, I think after a certain point you start to see, yes, people don't like this.
Yeah. Well, like they talked about this in Feb. So we are.
Oh my gosh, are
essentially
you for
November.
real?
Yeah, remember when they said
What
in
the
February,
crap?
in a few weeks, we'll be
Yeah.
updating you on the specialist. That was February. It is now essentially November. That is what, 9 months? 9 months. I don't want to sound rude to like the people behind the feedback, because I know that's like the community managers and they're the people in the whole DICE company. They're the people I'm like friends with. I don't want to be rude to those people. It doesn't take 9 months to check Twitter and Reddit for to get the feedback. It just doesn't. So also, to be fair to them, they're not the ones implementing the changes, so it's also not really, it's not their fault that it's taken 9 months to to implement this stuff. At this point, like you said, I feel like people have just forgotten. Like I kind of just don't even care at this point if they're in classes. Like it's done. It's already, by the time it's implemented, I'm not against the changes, but it's like it'll be season 3. We're probably only getting 4 seasons. Like the game is essentially more than halfway done. Like, is there really that much point?
Seriously.
Like, I don't want to sound like all pessimistic and stuff, but that's just the reality. The game probably has 6 months left. We've been in it for a year.
Yeah.
And like, we're now implementing essentially the single change people have wanted since launch. This is like the most, in my opinion, from what I've seen, people miss the class system. Like, more than anything they've had issues with in this game. And it's like 2/3 of the way through. Oh, yes, we finally got your thing that you wanted. Like, okay, thanks. I'm playing Modern Warfare, dude. Like, this is just old news at this point.
I think it's good that they're actively trying because, again, Battlefield 2042 is basically like a beta for whatever the next Battlefield game is at this point. It sucks to be able to say that. It sucks that that's what's happening. But if they can try something and the next game benefit from that experimentation, I think they should totally do it. I think they should try to make specialists work as best they can because I don't think they're going to be going away in the next game. I think we're going to see these characters show up again with new faces and new stories that are being told in this Battlefield universe. I doubt that they will completely wipe the field with them, and I doubt that they'll get away from the specialist system as a whole. I think they're going to be doing this classification where, yes, they're specialists, they have special abilities, and they have things that they share, but they also have these special abilities that they don't share. And I think that's a good thing for them to really own it, because I think a lot of Battlefield fans and DICE fans or games that DICE has made, we all feel very similar in this way, where DICE will try something and then they'll just like give up almost. Like that's the thing. Like, yes, they got Battlefront 2 to a point where it was a great game, but they didn't go above and beyond to where that made it like the best game. They made it, okay, we got it working, guys. Good luck. We'll see you never, probably. And Battlefield 5 was the same way. Like, it was on such a good path to become an incredible Battlefield entry, but like, and that was after the horrible launch. That was after the struggles in the beginning. They eventually got it to a point where, man, this looked really good. And they're going to do it again with Battlefield 2042, where they get it to a workable spot, and then they're like, see you later, guys. We're working on the next thing.
Yeah. It's very frustrating. Like, it's kind of getting really old at this point. The first times it was like, you know, I could understand Battlefront 2 because, like, they didn't monetize it well, so it's like, okay, fair enough. It's not making you money. Like, that's a understandable business decision. I get it. Battlefield 5, it was like, okay, you're focusing on the next one. That's okay. But then they're doing it with this one, which was meant to be the one that Battlefield 5 ended for, to focus on not doing the same thing. And now we're just in the same boat again. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just like, it's very just boring at this point. Just don't mess it up. It can't be that hard, surely.
Yeah. Come on, guys. At least like follow through. Try to I think this is one of those things that I think they're going to continue with. Maybe ill-advised, but I think this is one of those things that we will see DICE and the rest of the Battlefield teams work on to make really good and then continue to innovate on. Because I think that's what we need. We need those like innovations. We need these new ideas, but I don't think they need to be from the ground up stuff. It's like, I know we did this forever previously, but how about if we try to design a wheel again? It could be better. Well, is it still going to be circular? Yes, but no, stop it. If it's going to be the same thing ultimately, don't do it. Innovate more of like, I don't know, like have Battlefield, but be like italicized.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's like they try to innovate the really crucial elements, which I don't think is ever a good idea in anything. Like, once you find your formula, that we know what makes a Battlefield game. Like, stick to those things, and you can have like slight innovations. I'm not just saying like every game has to be exactly the same. Like, for example, you can innovate the class system where like instead of 4 classes, we have 5, stuff like that, because that's still the same formula. It's just like you're just slightly adapting the formula. The specialist is not a slight adaptation; it is an entire rework. So like those sorts of, it's like, yeah, just stop doing that. We don't want. I bought all of the other Battlefield games because they were awesome, and what I love about them made me buy the next ones. So when you change the core elements, it's like we're not really. Eventually, we're not going to be playing Battlefield anymore. It's just going to be some other game, and I don't want that. I think there's got to be a fine line between innovating and entirely not innovating, because that's my issue with Call of Duty. It's just the same exact game every year. With it's essentially just DLC. It's just a new, slightly different gameplay, but like new maps, new weapons and stuff. And look, they want to do that, and that's fine. But for me, it's like I don't know, I can't be bothered with that. I want a game to be different each time, but not like different to where it's one time I'm playing Call of Duty and the next time I'm playing freaking Halo. Like, I don't want that big of a difference. I just want it to be enough that it's like refreshing, I guess.
Yeah, give me. It's like a video game franchise should not be like, well, we're going to do something entirely different and call it Battlefield again. But I guess we have like Battlefield 2142 where it was like, okay, this isn't a new thing.
Yeah, I think like because that's the thing, I think they can do it if you market it properly and like, for example, like Hardline, that was very different. And although like numbers wise and stuff, it didn't do that well. I don't think anyone like hated that game. It was more just like, it's a little spin-off. I don't really, people just went, yes, I want to play it, or no, I don't want to play it. No, I don't hear people complaining about that. But because this is like a mainline game, because that to me is like a spin-off. That was not like a major title. So that's why I don't care. You won't hear me complaining. I didn't even buy it. I was like, it just doesn't look that good for me. And like some people love it, and that's great. With this game, this is meant to be like their next major installment. But in a lot of ways, it is a spin-off. And it's like, you can't really do that if you're marketing it as the next Battlefield. If this was marketed as like just a mini, for example, if they just did Battlefield Portal as its own game, I don't think anyone would be complaining about it, because it's just not the full experience. And you kind of just, it'd be that situation of like, yeah, I don't really like it, but like I don't care that I don't like it because it's not the major Battlefield game. I think that's their issue with this game, is that it's essentially a spin-off that was sold as their major title.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was just so far removed from what we thought it to be.
Yeah.
But kind of getting into that core feedback side of things, I think they made some good changes. They are working on more of the balance side of things. So in the engineer side of things, it is centered around aiding and fighting vehicles, which now has Boris, Crawford, and Liz in, which I don't think Crawford should be in there. What do you? Because I mean, his whole thing is he's like an infantry guy, right? Like that's his whole like MO, right? He's supposed to be. I mean, his turret's specifically designed against freaking infantry, not vehicles.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know. It's like, I think I haven't actually fully read this. I'm fairly sure they are slightly changing the way that he's going to work, because I think it's something about like, because obviously right now he can revive as if he's a medic. I think they're going to be essentially like removing that. So if they were to put like his turret is now a bit stronger against vehicles and stuff, then I think it fits. But in his current state, I do agree. It's like weird to think about that, because he's kind of like a medic / like defender. Like he puts the turret down and he holds it.
I really like, because that suits my gameplay so well. But This is what they say in terms of his changes. For Crawford, we notice conflicting gameplay behavior between offensively using his mounted Vulcan alongside being tasked to revive other players. Right now, this means Crawford is unable to fully commit to his role as support. Similar to Boers, who also takes an offensive approach with his SG-36 Sentry gun, we are changing Crawford's class to give him a clearer purpose on the battlefield. We've heard you share similar feedback that this would be a better fit, and through further playtesting, we're seeing that placing Crawford in the role of engineer provides a smoother gameplay flow by allowing him to help purely focus on offensive support. My favorite thing about Crawford was the idea that he can set up somewhere. I mean, I did this on Stranded, I think it was, and like I set up. No, it was the Kaleidoscope rework. I set it up in an area that had storage containers. Which area? I don't know. There's so many of them. But I set up in this area, and I was defending this point from the other team capturing it, and I was defending and providing cover while my teammates ran in and tried to clear it out and capture the point. But as they would die, I would give some fire, run over, quick revive them, and then go back to my position. Obviously, that does kind of defeat the purpose of him being in his turret the whole time, but I don't think that's a good thing for a character to be in their turret all the time.
Yeah, he's just kind of like a weird. The more that I think of it, he's just a weird specialist. Really, he actually doesn't really have like Falk. You know, is a medic. Like you can just tell that's Falk's playstyle. You can tell that Sundance is meant to be really aggressive. You can tell that McKay's meant to be really aggressive. Whereas Crawford, I'm just kind of like, how do I play? Because like I'm kind of the same. Whenever I've used him, I play him like really weird. I'll put like the turret in a really aggressive spot, and then like, kind of mix between using the turret to lock down an area, but then like if I notice teammates are dying, I'll go and revive them, and it's just like it's not necessarily a bad playstyle. It's just like weird. It's like not how I would normally play. Which, to be fair, like. That's one positive that kind of comes from the specialists is that they are changing. I never would play like that in the past. I would just be a medic and I would just get my SMG and heal people. And so it's cool to like try different things, but it is also like, he's not really committed, which they even said he's unable to fully commit to his role, which is the great way to put it. Cause you're kind of just like, you're a bit in limbo. You're like, what am I, what am I meant to be doing here?
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is a fair point. I think there's two ways you can approach this idea. One is, oh, great, they're continuing to work and balance the specialist. From my perspective, it's like, dang it, Crawford was my favorite because of that. Yeah. The ability to offer, I mean, you can be very effective on the battlefield against infantry and also save people, which I really enjoyed because a lot of the times there's just not people that you can save around the area. So if you have a fully support-based character, you're not really doing a whole lot. Like there isn't that like middle ground between, okay, yeah, you can attack, but you can also help your teammates and promote that team play. But
100%. Because like with Falk, like you are there to just heal people. Like that is your only role, heal and revive, which is fun. Like Falk's one of my most played specialists, but it was cool to have like it'd be cool to have Falk with like a bloody grenade launcher or something. Let's like changes the playstyle a bit. So I do agree that it is just like kind of it's weird that they didn't kind of think about this before they put him in is kind of I think what feels weird to me because like they've obviously been planning this for a while. So it's if they had launched him in this way it would be fine, but it's more just that we've kind of like there's trailers about like what he is, and then it's just like, oh, actually, sorry, we're changing him up a little bit. Which again, I probably am sounding super negative. I think all of these changes are really good. I'm not like against any of this stuff. It's more when I said it's too late. It is just a little bit too late for it to be a huge change. But I'm like staunchly for them doing this. I think it's all great.
Yeah, definitely.
To fix the game. Like, I'm not just being like, nah, just abandon it. Like, I want them to keep fixing it. It's more just, this was like that big thing that I remember like in the beta. Like, I remember one of our first ever recordings when we were talking about having played the game,
Mm-hmm.
it was about the specialists. We were like, oh, what are they good? Are they bad? We're not sure. And that was essentially a year ago. In fact, the beta was in October. And so that's kind of what I mean, where it's like it's like so far removed from that. But in terms of the changes, I'm really nothing that they've said I'm like against. I actually really like it. Might take a bit for me to get sort of used to it, but I'm actually really all for all these changes.
I think it's good. Continuing on the recon side of things, this is their quote on round. Spotting and targeting. Recons provide themselves and teammates with intel on enemy positions and designate targets. That's Casper, Pake, and Rao, which I think that's a really good combination for that recon class. I think that I wouldn't change anything on that kind of pairing of things.
Yeah, they're the ones that, like, when you think of recon, like, they all make sense. They're all exactly what you would think of as a recon specialist.
Yeah, and I don't think Rao was originally intended to be in the engineer class. I think he was something else. Our design intent for Rao as a recon is to be a disruptor and target designator, so his team can follow up to take down targets. Currently, it is not always clear to the team who Rao is targeting, so we are exploring ways to improve his team play opportunities. We are maintaining Rao as a recon, and while he can still be effective against vehicles through having access to C5, we'll make further changes to enforce his spotting and targeting capabilities. These changes won't impact Rao's abilities directly, but rather how they are communicated to his team when using them. For example, when Rao hacks a target, teammates will see a large UI indicator signaling a designated target is hacked. Okay, let me think about this again. Vehicle disabler and support. Recon, spotting, and targeting. Yes. They're going to... Let me retract my previous statement. This is that I was getting my story confused here. Previously, when we talked about this, I wanted Rao and the engineer side of things because that is the best way to play Rao is against vehicles.
Yeah.
Who is hacking people?
Yeah,
who actually does that?
Person. I don't really see the point. If I have time to look at someone and hack them, I will just shoot them. Like,
yeah, you're not offering any, like, you're adding more benefit to shoot them than you are to hack them so they're disabled for a few seconds. Yeah. Like, no.
Because what is it? Something like, I don't play Rao. I think it's like if you hack someone and then kill them, their squad mates get revealed or something. But it's like, I'm just going to kill, like, because I'm not guaranteed. If I stand there looking at him for however long, it feels like it takes like 10 seconds off the time.
It takes so long.
If I just stand there looking at this guy, he's just going to shoot me and then I'm not going to spot anyone. So I'll just kill him. And then hopefully his teammates come crawling out and I'll just kill them as well. That's the way I think of it. So, yeah, the hacking of people. I like, it's fun hacking vehicles and trying to take out vehicles, but the whole, I don't see him as a disruptor unless, again, they're going to like try and change a lot about how he plays, but I don't see him as necessarily a disruptor. I just see him as, I'm going to take down that chopper's defensive ability so I can shoot it with a stinger. Like, that's how I play Rao.
Yeah. Another thing we didn't get to mention on when we were talking about the limited time only mode was that you're limited to only one specialist per team.
Yeah.
Which I didn't notice until I was playing Rao. I was like, what the frick is going on here? Was super weird. I used to play Rao a lot and got pretty good at Rao, but didn't. I mean, as soon as like Liz and Crawford came out, I dropped him like a hot tamale. And it was I don't quite enjoy his gameplay style because he isn't as effective against vehicles because of the cooldown after doing it. It doesn't quite last as long enough for my tastes, and like if I'm going to be playing a specialist, I want to be really effective at that specialist and utilize their abilities. Otherwise, I'll go and play like I'll play Liz or I'll play McKay. I'll go somewhere else.
That's the thing with like the balancing of them is that for me personally, like McKay is just kind of good in every way because you can just get you can be very
He's the
even if
ultimate
you
assault.
play, so you can play real aggressive with him, or you can play really campy with him as well. You can just get up on some little hidey hole and hide.
Yeah, he's
there.
like the perfect snipe combination.
Yeah, so like he is kind of like at however you want to play McKay, he's effective at all times because you can either use that grapple hook to get to really like aggressive spots, or the entire opposite of that. You can just camp with him. Whereas with Rao, like you're so locked into just trying to hack those vehicles that for me, like there's that many times that I hack a chopper, and by the time I pull out a stinger and try and take it out, it's flown behind a building, and I just like, oh well, that was a waste of time. I've just hacked it, and it's now by the time I can see it again, it's not hacked anymore. So I've just gained nothing. Like that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
With McKay, if I've gotten to an area that I want to get to with that grapple hook, I haven't wasted any time. Like I've done exactly what I needed to do, and it's already done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same with like Falk. If I'm playing Falk, like I can just immediately heal a teammate. I don't have to like sit there and like, I don't know, it doesn't take like 10 seconds to heal someone. You just shoot them and they've been healed and you're done. So I think that's the issue with a lot of the specialists is that, some of them like, especially like Rao and stuff, and like, for example, Casper, to be fully effective, you've got to be in the drone, meaning you can't actually do anything as Casper. You're just in the drone. So it's like, those characters to me, they're just completely pointless. It's like, I can't do... The point of the specialist is that you get to play and get the benefit of the specialist, but a lot of them, it's like you have to stop playing to get the benefit.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're like disrupting your normal way of playing.
Yeah. You have to almost stop like shooting enemies and be like, okay, now I'm going to hack that vehicle. And you stand there for 10 seconds, and then you're not even guaranteed. It's not like you're definitely going to kill them.
And then someone comes up and shoots you, or they go out of range.
Exactly, because you're like essentially pausing the game to hack them. And so you're just standing there like an idiot, and someone's just going to shoot you straight away. And then at that point, it's like, why would I even bother? Like, I'm just standing there waiting to be shot. And it's the same with Casper. Like, you're in the drone, so you can't defend yourself. If someone comes up on you and you're in the drone, you'll just die. So it's like,
yeah, exactly.
What's the point? Like, why would I do that?
I quickly stopped playing Casper because of that. Like, I get shot from the back so many times that it's just like, and that's without being in a freaking drone thing all of the time. Like,
And the opposite of that, for example, is Pake, where, to be fair, Pake's been nerfed quite a bit, but like, you get to spot enemies and still run around and shoot them.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to like stop, put on binoculars, and then put the binoculars down, and then like put them in your pocket, and then like and then shoot.
It's
like
it's not like
there.
You have the goggles on and you have to put your gun away like that. Then I would just never play Pake, but because you can do both at once, that's an effective specialist to me. It's the same, like I said, with McKay and with Falk. You can just quickly pull out your Surette pistol, heal them. If someone comes around the corner, you're not like completely exposed. You just pull your gun out really quickly again and shoot them. So that's for me what they need to fix, is that if they want me to play as all these other specialists, almost the same in a way as Crawford. If someone's behind you and you're in the turret, you're just dead. You can't really do, because you can't turn around the whole way. So it's like any specialist that I've got to stop playing normally to like do their certain thing, I've lost interest at that point.
Yeah. It's part of what the challenges with specialists. You can't just have a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It has to be, it's very much that like rock, paper, scissors experience of, if I change this thing, then I need to be sure that this impacts it. And I don't know if they always make the proper decisions around the abilities, but indicative with like Crawford, I think they are willing to make those changes post-release. Yeah, 100%. But we'll have to see what that like ultimately looks like when it comes down to it. Like how many of these specialists will have these changes like this.
Yeah, because now that's the thing, which, to be fair, it's no different than it is now, but I do feel like once they're in classes, it'll just be at the point where you may as well just have 4 specialists, because people are probably only going to pick 1 from each class. Like, the exception being that in the assault class, I main McKay and Sundance, so I'll switch between them, but like, if I'm going to play as the medic or support class, I'm just going to play Falk. If I'm going to play as engineer, I'll probably play as Liz, and if I'm going to play as recon, I'll probably pick Pake. And I'll never ever pick the others, because what's the point? There's one that just is better, so I'm just going to use that one. So realistically, we now just have 4. I guess for me, like, I would have 5 specialists instead of 10 or whatever 12 there is. So yeah, again, it's not really a complaint. It's more just like it's just weird that it's going to end up really no different than just having classes, and but they're still separated. It's just a weird situation.
And I think this is exemplified with the support class, which is Angel, Irish, and Falk. Of those 3, who are you going to choose? Obviously, you're going to choose Falk.
Yeah, especially because like at launch, like Angel with his extra armor and stuff, he was like kind of the better option. But now they've removed that, and then like I don't know if I'm trying to support my team. Look, Angel still has, like, I guess it comes down, maybe just going off my own playstyle. I guess, like, because Angel does still have a purpose, but for me, it's just like, I'm just never going to use Angel anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's just not a thing that I would choose.
Yeah.
I think where it gets interesting is Irish, because Irish got moved over to the support class, and I think they have some of the biggest changes to him as well. They say, for Irish, we recognize that the design of his APS 36 shoot-down Sentinel and DCS deployable cover provide more benefits towards helping infantry instead of aiding or combating vehicles, which is 100% correct. We are therefore moving Irish to the role of support, where he can focus on helping and protecting teammates instead of taking out enemy vehicles. Which, I mean, who is using Irish to take down vehicles?
What? Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess, like, they wanted him to be like that at the start, but again, like, that's not how he's designed. You can't.
His shield isn't going to stop a vehicle.
Yeah, he has not one single item that is used. Like, he's the entire opposite. He's meant to, like, lock down buildings. Like, that's I don't know. It was a weird situation.
Yeah, and they say with this change in place, we've seen great new gameplay moments where Irish protects his team with his shoot down. With this new great gameplay, like, no, this is what's been happening. Like, what universe are you guys in? Do you play Battlefield 2042? That's exactly how I've used Irish every time I play Irish.
Yeah, even in I remember, like, the initial trailer. You know how they had those, like, mini trailers for each specialist? It was just like a 30-second clip of them.
Yeah.
His, like, thing was he put down the shield and hid behind it. Like, that's the point. What do you mean that's new? That you told us that before the game even launched. What the hell?
Guys, this is so strange. Look at how they're using Irish now. All of the players. God. Yeah, that's how we've been using Irish. So that's super weird. Like, I literally the other day did this in the 16v16 mode. Like, legit placed down my thing in between storage containers again, and was able to heal some people using that ability. They're like, oh my gosh, revolutionary. Did you just see what he did? But they're also changing him in these ways. They're switching the respective classes. Obviously, Crawford gains the repair tool, while Irish gets the defibrillator. Defibrillator?
I struggle so much. I think defibrillator, but I always thought it was defibrillator for that long. Like, I thought it was that for years. Then I saw it spelled out, and I was like, oh, what? I've been saying the wrong word for so long.
I'm just going to call him a defib. He gains that as a class equipment. Also receives a cash point trait, which
I think that's the one where when you revive a teammate, they get like an extra, like they get a grenade back.
Yes.
I think that's what that is.
But they're basically switching a lot of abilities and traits. Crawford will receive a new trait, which is still being designed. They're currently exploring making him more effective at repairing vehicles under certain conditions. Why is this this under Irish? Come on, guys.
I just saw that. That's weird.
But yeah, he's getting some changes to make him more of that support class. I would assume, but they don't say it, will be a quicker revive, possibly. I mean, if they're Irish in the support class, yeah.
Yeah, Irish. So I think the cash point trait is maybe that's also included.
They get revived quicker, and they get a grenade, or they get added ammo, I think is what it is.
Or actually, no, now looking at it, the defib is what makes that happen, because Angel has that too. So yeah, that makes sense. The defib is technically the trait that like gives you the faster revive.
Huh. This is so confusing.
Yeah, it's a very Should have had a coffee before I started this, because
I know, right?
I'm like
I think we say that every episode.
Yeah. Well, usually I do, and then I swear the ones I don't, and there's like this overload of information, and I'm just like, I'm sitting here like squinting at my screen, like, what is happening? Like, what am I trying to figure out here?
I need a cuppa. On the class side of things, on the loadouts, they are changing some things. There's a new overview of the class loadout structure. The things that are always available. For the assault, you get the med pen. Engineer, you get the repair tool. Support, you get the defib. And recon, you get the insertion beacon. For classic gadgets, which you can choose one of, assault has the smoke launcher, the armor plates, the C5, and the M18. The engineer, which is actually more than that they had before, because assault like weirdly didn't have a whole lot that you could choose from previously, which was a dumb decision. On the engineer side of things, you can choose from the anti-tank mine, the M5, the FXM-33 AA missile, the GM-148 Javelin, or the EOD bot. Support, you get the ammo crate, the medical crate, smoke launcher, or the M18 Claymore. The recon, you get the TUGCS or TUGS, the tracer dart, M18 Claymore, C5, proximity sensor, and the SOFLAM designator. Good changes, I think, overall. Again, they can say all of these things, but we won't know until we get our hands on it to see how it plays and if those are good decisions. Basically, the engineer, the support, and the recon all get the same amount of decisions around the throwables, but instead of the EMP grenade, you can choose from the concussion grenade in assault. Yeah. Which I think just shows how few grenades they have in the game. Not necessarily like, oh my gosh, I can't believe no. They have so few grenades that you can choose of these four. And
essentially, they may as well, in my opinion, they may as well have just had anyone can pick any grenade.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you going to just like say, oh no, only the assault can do this?
Yeah. The way that this is written is like so odd that it's like, it lists all of them over and over again. Frag grenade, smoke grenade, concussion grenade, incendiary grenade. For engineer, frag grenade, smoke grenade, EMP grenade, incendiary grenade. Support, it just says the exact same for support and recon. It's like, you've got 5 grenades. Just, I don't know.
Give them all to everybody.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's not going to change.
Yeah, I don't think removing... Like, I don't think if the assault class had the EMP grenade, that then makes them overpowered. It's like, I don't know. No one even uses that anyway. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's weird. It's almost like it feels like they were like, we got to differentiate them somehow. Let's just do this.
Yeah, exactly. We have to change these from class to class, right? Yeah, but only change assault. Yeah, very strange. I mean, if you're going to do that, make it 3 that you can choose from and then have like different ones for each class. But honestly, I don't understand why you have to have 4 for everyone when there are 5 total grenades.
Yeah, like if they had, you could only choose from 2, then it would be like, I'd probably be a bit annoyed by that, to be honest. But it would be okay, I get what you're going for. Like, you've got to pick that carefully. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just weird. It's also weird because the concussion grenade, they just added that It's like their new grenade.
Yeah.
And it's only available for assault now.
Only assault gets this one.
Yeah.
And then this is obviously, and they call it a very contentious point of feedback, was around weapon restrictions. And they say this: presently, specialists have access to all weapons, and there are no restrictions of choice of weaponry within your loadout. We've heard from some of you that you enjoy having access to all weapons, while others noted that you would instead enjoy having weapons locked to the class that you're playing to help enforce class identity. While we will bring more structure to gameplay via the class rework, we feel that adding weapon restrictions would not be the right change for how you are currently used to playing Battlefield 2042, alongside specialist gameplay. However, we do agree that using a weapon that fits your class should feel more meaningful. To achieve that feeling, we are adding a new system that we are currently called Weapon Class Proficiencies. Below is an example of this system and the options we're currently exploring. Recons are known for using sniper rifles on the battlefield, and their proficiency when yielding this weapon type outperforms, for example, an assault, who are skilled at using assault rifles. And then they continue saying that each assault will have, or each class will have weapons that they're more proficient at. We'll still have access to all weapons in this new system. They'll now benefit from wielding sniper rifles by automatically holding breath for much longer while aiming down sights. Our design intent for this new system is to help enforce your role on the battlefield while simultaneously making you more readable to other players. That leads to better balance and more team play, alongside maintaining current freedom of choice that many of you are used to and enjoy. Now, this is a very controversial thought in the Battlefield community.
Yep.
But screw you all. I like this.
Yeah, I'm not against this either. I do very much see both sides of the argument. If they said we're bringing back like only the assault class can use assault rifles and stuff, I personally would be like okay with that. I'd be like, I'm not sure it's my favorite option, but I'm fine with it. And vice versa, if they just said no, we're not changing anything, I'd be like, yeah, it's fine, because I do like playing as like, you know, McKay with a sniper, because that realistically in previous games that wouldn't work. He's assault, and you couldn't do that in the past. And then this does feel like a bit of a middle ground. So yeah, it's a very divisive topic, but I'm with you. I kind of like it. Yeah. At least like on paper, we'll have to see how it goes, but it sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think this is the right decision, considering how Battlefield 2042 handles weapons. I mean, they specifically did not have enough weapons at launch, so there was no way that if they had classes to do weapon restrictions. And while they are adding more weapons, and I think it's a good thing to add more stuff from like Portal, they don't still have enough weapons to where it makes meaningful sense to have the weapon separation.
Yeah. I think it's like I don't know. I think it's the type of thing that I remember when they mentioned this like before launch, that they were sort of unlocking the weapons. Their reasoning behind it was very good, that if you want to play with an SMG but you don't like playing as a medic, for example, you want to play as assault, you want to take out tanks and all that.
Yeah.
People are just picking medic to use their favorite gun, and then you get a bunch of people who are medics who don't play like a medic, and it's really annoying when there's a medic right next to you and they're not in the mindset. To be fair to them, it's not even their fault. They're not in the mindset of like, I have picked the medic class. Like they just want that gun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the best medic around.
Yeah,
no,
so
they just want the SMG.
You get a bunch of people who it's not really like their fault, and it's also not really the dev's fault. It's just kind of like just an error on both ends, that you get a bunch of people playing the role. For example, I always loved sniping, and when I was playing as recon, I was never putting down spawn beacons. I was never spotting teammates, because I'm not in the mindset of like, yeah, I'm going to be the best recon on this team. Like, I'm just trying to snipe people's heads off. Like, I don't care about all the other stuff. So when they unlock that, I actually really liked their reasoning. They said in all the early preview stuff, like, they did these big presentations and they said, we understand that a lot of people might not like this, but we want you to just be able to play the way that you want to play the game. Obviously, within reason, you can't just make it completely unbalanced. But I don't think McKay having a sniper is unbalanced, for example. Like, it's still a sniper. I don't think, I don't know, a recon specialist having an assault rifle, I don't think that's overpowered either. So it's when it doesn't affect the balance and it allows more freedom for the player, I think that's definitely a good thing.
But Sammy, you can heal yourself with the sniper. That's not fair.
Yeah, that's the thing with that, because I remember having like a lot of arguments in the beta. Like I was streaming it and people were saying that kind of thing, and it was like, yeah, but I can also just do the opposite and just in Battlefield 5 I can just pick a medic and never help my teammates.
Yeah.
And it's like I would get so
That's not going to
annoyed.
stop camping. If like people will camp no matter what, it's just going to be camping longer. And like, who cares if that's how they're going to play it? Why are you trying to like limit someone else's enjoyment of the game?
That's kind of that's my point, is that if it affects the balancing to where like snipers were just invincible, right? Someone's sitting at the back of the map and you just can't kill them and they keep killing you, then that's unbalanced and that needs to be fixed. So like when it affects the game, I'm all for balancing. I think balancing is the most important thing in shooters, but when it doesn't really change anything and you're giving everyone else entire like freedom of how they play, I think that's always a good thing. So I think it's more, I think a lot of people were thinking at launch that like, you know, it does sound overpowered that a sniper can just sit back and be really far away, and if they do get shot they can heal themselves and all that. It sounds overpowered, but I've never seen anyone like someone's doing
I've never
that,
had an issue with it.
If someone's doing that, I'll just get a sniper and shoot them in the head. They can't heal themselves when they're dead
From a headshot.
So like it's I'm yet to really come across any build. There's no like meta in this game, which is that's kind of my point. There's no like everyone plays Sundance with this exact weapon and that exact gadget. Like no one does that. Everyone just kind of plays one. And I think that's a good thing. I think that means that people just choose what they want to do and they can have more fun that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game, guys.
Yeah. The one thing that I will say though is the downside of that is that there is a little bit of like lacking identity in who you choose. That's where I do agree that
I think that is a fair criticism. I don't think that, oh, well, you can heal yourself and snipe and that sucks. Like, I don't think that is a fair criticism. I think the fair criticism is there's no true identity. And it feels like there isn't really a point to having specialists. I totally understand that.
That's the thing with Battlefield. It's always had, like, you choose your class and you have that identity of, like, I'm playing as a medic, I'm playing as whatever. And that definitely, I agree, is like missing in this game. I don't really choose a role in this game. I just pick what I like to play, and I'm not a medic, I'm not a sniper, I'm just a bunch of random stuff at once. Like I will literally run around with a sniper and McKay and C5, and I'll blow up tanks and snipe people and play aggressively. It's like the most random mix, which on one hand is really fun, and I've never been able to do that before. And on the other hand, I almost do wish that I was forced to being a bit more of like having an identity. I think that's, I do agree where people come, with that argument. So I think that's just the thing with the specialist. It's just like, it'll never really be, I don't think anyone's ever fully going to agree on it. And that's kind of why I think we've all got an issue with it, because the class system kind of did just work for the most part. So,
I don't. If they launched with it to where it worked that way, I think that is a fair thing. But with Battlefield 2042, having played it for almost a year now, I think it doesn't make sense to go back and make such a from the ground up change at this point. But they should experiment with it again, like we said earlier. They should experiment it, see what works, see what doesn't work for the next game. And I think for the next game, they should totally have weapon restrictions. Maybe there are like weaker versions that all of the people can have access to. I think that would be great. But with Battlefield 2042, that doesn't work.
I 100% agree with that. That if if they can find a way to have restrictions, but not like fully restricted, where it's just like only an assault rifle for whatever class. Maybe give them a sniper, but it's just objectively not as good as the other snipers. And it's like, so you can have that playstyle, but if you come up against a real sniper who's a recon sniper, they will probably beat you. Then there's a bit of like that, rock, paper, scissors type of thing to it, where you can do what you want, but if someone is playing more of their like identity role, they will beat you. And I think that's fair enough. Like if I'm playing a medic in the next game, if there's classes and I choose the medic and choose a sniper, and I come up against a real sniper, like they should have a slight advantage. And I think that kind of thing would be really good to see. So like you said, I think all of this stuff, as much as it has sucked that we've kind of had to go through this game with just so many issues and drama and all that, like it is a learning experience. And I do hope that, Call of Duty went through the same thing where it had a bit of like an identity crisis for a little bit. It had all that jetpack era, right? And that people hated that. And then it learned like, okay, that just didn't work. So let's go back. We've learned some good things. They learned like the movement was good, but it was a bit too far. So now they brought it to like the movement is really quick, but it's still boots on the ground. It's not, there's no jetpacks and stuff. And I do feel like this can be that same sort of situation where with this game, they've kind of gone a bit too far and we're all like, whoa, what what are you doing? But then they will hopefully learn. The key word is hopefully learn for the next game, and then they can sort of rein it back, and they may learn things from this game that if they didn't have this failure, they never would have learned that. And then that might be like our favorite part of the next game is something that they learn from the issues that this game's had. So it sucks that we have to go through it because it's like it's not a yearly game. So it's like we have to wait so long. Like it's probably earliest 2024, would you say, for the next game? So that's a long way away.
Ideally 2025.
Yeah,
like,
well,
honestly,
that'd be my hope. But yeah, I think
but it'll probably be 2024. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it sucks that we do have to. That's 2 years. Like it's a long time. But I just hope that they just learn from it, and it seems like they will, and it seems like they have in the past as well. So we just got to hope that. Yeah, they almost like keep experimenting, like you said. They're trying this stuff, and hopefully they learn some stuff for the next game that maybe makes it a better game than it ever would have been if this game was a big success.
With the release of the next game, I hope from like a player's perspective that we get it in like 2025 early. Obviously it'd be November, but like I think it would be good if they gave it that extra year. To get it to a spot that, and maybe they will, because I think with there's Ripple Effect Studios, there's now Ridgeline Studios. I think with Ridgeline, they are starting it now. Basically, they built the team. They're still hiring for some of the team, and they're gonna have to spin it up completely. As far as we know, it will launch with the game as like the story aspect of things, the campaign side of things, if you want to refer to that. So it may get delayed to 2025.
Yeah.
But I hope if it does, they decide to do a season 5 or season 6 even. Like I hope that we get, because I don't think we need to have those like experiences in between Battlefield games to keep people excited.
Yeah.
And I think with, like we talked about earlier, DICE needs to show people that they can and will support a game after a poor launch and after they get it to a good spot.
Yeah. Ideally, I would hope that they delay it till 2025, but keep supporting this game until
There's no reason not to.
There's no reason they can't do that. And I know that the next game might be better if they have all hands on deck from like now, essentially, from when this game ends. But every other game in the past, like Battlefield 4, they released the last updates for that like 6 months before Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 4 was amazing and Battlefield 1 was amazing. So it's not impossible to do that. And so that's my issue. That's kind of why it's like part of me wants 2024 because if they end this game at season 4, that's still an 18-month period without Battlefield. Like, that's so long. That's so boring. But if they cancel
Battlefield
this game
2042
4,
will not survive if they don't have more content for it. And that would suck.
Oh, it'll, at least like in Australia and like small population areas, it will, within, I would say 3 months, I will never be able to find a game again. Outside of now there's like the persistent server, so maybe I can try and spin my own up, or I'll try and like find a community that wants to keep it going. But like naturally it will die off within 3 months. So if the game ends in, we're going to get season 3 in November, so November, December, January, then Feb, March and April. So essentially the end of April next year.
They would end it before the summer? What?
Yeah. And like that essentially means by the middle of next year the game's done. And that's just a lot. If it does come out in 2025, the next one, like that's 2.5 years without Battlefield. It's a long time. In that time, like Call of Duty will release nearly 3 games. Like that, it's just mental. So that's why I really want them to keep supporting this game, and they can do it. I don't know why they are so like. It's like they're set on. No, we've got to have all hands on deck, because they did the same thing with Battlefield 5, and it's just like you can.
You've shown you don't have to like, and they already say all the whole team is working on 2042 to give you the best experience.
Yeah.
No, the whole team is working on Battlefield as a whole.
Yeah. So I think for me personally, not just what I want, but I think just, at least from my perspective, the smartest decision they can make is delay the game till 2025 and support this game until like even November of 2023, and then there's still like a year, of 2024, and then there's still a year gap. Like that's still a long time. But that still gives this game another like 1.5 to 2 years of live service. And by then you can have that Battlefront 2 moment where the game ends and people are like, damn, that game launched so bad, but like, what a turnaround. Like now I trust them again. Because if they just get it to where it's like acceptable, which like, if let's just say they ended it right now, I personally think the game's in an acceptable state. It's not bad, it's not good. It's just like, it's a pass mark. And if they just end it now, it's like, you really haven't earned our trust back. You've just earned enough trust that it's like, we don't want a refund for it. You know what I mean? It's like, we're just all kind of like, okay, like legally, like, thanks for doing that.
Let me see. You did the entire checklist of all the things you legally have to do. Yeah. Good for you guys.
So like, they're not doing, I think that, and I don't even think this is a DICE thing. I think it's an EA thing. I think that they just think, okay, well, we've done those checklist things, so like we're all good. Everything's sweet. No, it's not. You need to earn our trust back and get it to the point where like we're all sad that this game ends. Because right now, I would be sad because mostly to be honest, because I'm a creator on the game. It's more of like, oh damn, I got nothing to make videos on. I'll just move on to Modern Warfare and Warzone. Like, I'll be fine. Yeah. I think we'll all move on to other stuff. I want this game to end at the point where I'm, like, sad. Where I'm like, oh, man, really? I just wanted this game to keep going. And then the next one comes out and you actually have hype for it. Because, like, look at... like, let's just say Battlefront 2 ended just after they put the squad system, right? In, like, September of, 2018. Yeah. If they ended that, no one would have cared. Everyone would have been like, okay, whatever, that game sucked. Yeah. But they got it to the point where we are still to this day begging for the next one. And that's what they need to do. And it's the same company. This is not some like tinfoil hat, like, but someone else across the other side of the planet did the same thing, so they can. It's the same company. Like, they can do it. I know that, look, to be fair, a lot of people don't work there anymore and stuff, but I don't know, man. For me, that's just the logical way to do it. I know they might have to sink some money into it that they don't want to. Like, you might just have to take a loss on this game and put more money into it to pay the devs and all that to keep doing it. But in the long run, it's the right decision, because then when the next Battlefield launches, and if you've taken that extra year, that's the thing. If you take that extra year to get it right, that'll be a 4-year gap if it was between 2021 and 2025. That's the longest time we've ever had to build a Battlefield game. We've got people like Vince at the helm and all that kind of thing. Like, it's perfectly set to do well, and you've earned our trust back. And at that point, if that game can't succeed, then you may as well just delete the franchise. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Stop trying if you can't do that. So it's like that would be perfectly set for success. I don't see any way that would fail personally, unless it was just a genuine disaster. Like, I don't know. But the annoying part is they won't do that. They just won't.
Yeah. I think they need to do it from a community building standpoint, we need to do this for our fans. Take the loss and say, yes, understand that, guys, we hurt you, but hey, now that you guys stuck with us, we're going to continue supporting you, even though there is going to be another game. I think it is going to make the next game even more successful if they actually respect and continue supporting this one.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't... The other thing is, I don't think it needs to be to the same extent of support. They don't have to pump out a map each season and all that kind of thing. Like, you don't have to put... this season we've gotten already 6 weapons, I think, and we're going to get more. Or no, we've got more. We got the AK in this one. So we've got like 9 weapons. You don't have to do that every time. Like, just show us that you're still sticking by. If half the team has to move on to the next one, I think people will understand that and be like, man, I wish we were getting the content we got in the last seasons, but like, I get it. We can't get that.
I think if they just do a map, and they do continued like community building events, I think that would be a good thing. I think if they continue that support up until the next game, then you have really honed in your team, because that's something that they did not have with 2042. A lot of people left. People described it as not DICE anymore. So many people left.
Exactly. Like, they do. That's a great point, that like it's actually kind of like practicing for the next game, because they are very, from what we've heard, we obviously don't know, but they seem to be very inexperienced. And the great part about that is, if you just do it, you will become experienced. Like, it's not like inexperienced people stay that forever. So I think a lot of people hear that and go, oh, well, they're just always going to be inexperienced. No, if you keep sticking with the games and you keep build that community within DICE to where the people don't want to leave. Like, build a good culture that people stick around, and in 5 to 10 years, that team will go from inexperienced to, like, it could be one of the most experienced shooter development teams out there if people just stick in and do the work. So, yeah, I don't know. I could go on about this for every episode of this podcast moving forward. I could just talk about this for an hour, but the unfortunate reality is I just don't think they will do that. I'm 99.9% sure that season 4, it ends, they do the big, we want to thank you for staying with the game.
Thank you for
and
your
blah, blah,
continued
blah.
support of Battlefield 2042. We greatly value all of the money that you spend on your skins, and tough luck, buddy.
Yeah. I can already just see the post on Twitter and the blog post. Thanks for your support. Like, we promise we're going to go there, and we're going to all hands on deck for the next game. And don't worry, it only comes out in 16 years, and you'll have children by the time it's out, but that's okay, because we promise it'll be here eventually. Like, I can just see it coming, and it's frustrating, because there are other games out there, and I'll just go play Warzone. Like, that's fine, but I want to play Battlefield. I want, I think we all want that. Battlefield is something you can't emulate in other games, and it almost just sucks that we all just have to move on. We're gonna have to be like, oh well, damn it, I'm going to have to go play Warzone instead. And Warzone will be
Yeah.
fun, but it's not Battlefield. So
No.
it's just annoying that's how that's going to go. Because I think for 1 year, if there's like a 1 year gap between the last update and the next game, for me, I think I would still stick around and play Battlefield throughout that year. But
Yeah.
when it's longer than that, it's like, is there really any point? Like, I'll just go play something else, and one day I'll come back, but that'll be when the next one launches.
Yeah. You're just going to have to learn to really love Ground War.
Yeah.
Gotta play Ground War now. But yeah, I like the direction that they're going on the specialists. I hope that they supported past what they're legally required to. I hope, because I think there's still a lot left. The struggles aside, I think there's a lot left with Battlefield 2042. And I know that they can put it together and make it a great game, because they've done it before, like our boy Andrew Wilson has said many times. They've done it again and again. Sadly, they've had to do it again and again, but they can and they should continue to support this game. Do I think that they will? No, because they haven't shown it. But I think they should, and especially with the limited amount of content that we've gotten with this game at launch and with each season. I don't think it's quite to the level of previous Battlefields.
Yeah.
It's definitely not to the quality of previous Battlefields. And with Season 3, I mean, we've already had it for almost a year, and it feels like it's just getting started.
Yeah. 100%. And like, I agree. The game still has a lot of potential. I don't think it'll ever be what we all wanted it to be, but it can definitely, like, I don't know. I just keep looking back. You and I especially, we've been through that Battlefront journey where, like, I don't think any of us thought that would turn around, and then it's ended up as like one of all of our favorite games ever. And I don't think that like period of our lives, I don't know if that'll ever be matched. Like, that was the best time of our gaming lives, and and so we've experienced that, and we can now. It's like almost a curse, because we can like vision that. Like, we can envision that for this game.
It's
We
so
go, like,
close.
come on, man, just do it. You're nearly there. Like, keep going with it, because it's no different. It's not like that game did anything like absolutely wild to fix it. They just kept putting out content every month. Like, they didn't do anything like stupidly, I don't know, they didn't do it over the top. They didn't add a battle royale to revive it. They just put maps in and some new heroes, and after a couple of years of that, we were like, oh man, this game's actually pretty damn good now. And that's what's happening with this game. Every time there's a new season, you and I jump on and we go, damn, the new map's so much fun. Like, just keep doing that for another year, and at least another year. And yeah, there's no reason it can't be there. But like you said, I think it's very much wishful thinking. I'm trying not to sound too negative, but I see essentially a 0% chance of that happening.
Yeah. Right there with you. But I think with that, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of The Battlefield Show. Greatly appreciate all of your support. And if you'd like to support us completely free, make sure that you're subscribed wherever you can listen to podcasts, and leave us a review. It helps us out a ton, or a rating on Spotify. Let us know your thoughts on what we discussed today. What do you think about the specialist changes that will be coming in Season 3? How are you enjoying the Orbital rework? Can you actually find games? And let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or contact at uplinkpodcast.com or at uplinkpodcast. Also, join the Discord. We have tons of fun discussions around Battlefield, and I think that's one of the most active channels that we have, is around the discussion of what's going on in Battlefield, dozer offs, and all of that fun stuff. But greatly appreciate your support. As always, I'd like to thank Ethan Clark for the beautiful thumbnail. All of you for listening. As always, we'll see you on the battlefield.